being. So this is Tanaja's plea to Kryon. Change the metaphor.
Tanaja, why don't you tell us what you really think? Tanaja, I hope that you don't take offense to anything I'm going to say, but we are really looking at two issues here, and they truly are issues, and I want to set some things straight, and I hope this is educational for everyone and you, and I'd like to work on something for you and even for many of us, including myself. First question, do you really think Kryon wants people to debase themselves for us in this precious circle of 12? Perhaps there's something missing that we should look at. So let's look at the first issue. And the first issue is the washing of feet is not, it may be a Christian doctrine, but they didn't start it. They just took it and debased with it. Now you are reacting to Christianity. You're not reacting to the feet washing. Let me just tell you why. And I've studied this. I knew this even before this question came along, because in so many times when we have retreats, we'll wash their feet. I can't tell you how many times we've done mountaintop experiences with 30 to 40 to 70 attendees where at the end, we wash their feet. And this last thing I would want to do is debase myself to do that. All right. Washing of feet does not come from Christianity. Early Mesopotamia and even ancient Egypt did it. And you can look it up. And it's really cool because it symbolizes a greeting and hospitality and welcome. You know, back in those days, they didn't have paved streets necessarily, and lots of people, if not everyone, wore sandals. And so their feet were always dirty. So one of the customs, especially in Egypt, in Mesopotamia, one of the customs is that some guests come to your house, and the first thing you do is offer to wash their feet. And it's a, hello, how are you? Thank you for being here. We honor your presence. Thanks for coming to dinner. Let me wash your feet. It's almost like if your partner came home, if you're with a partner, and he or she says, oh, I've had a really hard day, and you say, take off your shoes. Let me rub your feet. And you're not going to go, I'm not going to receive that debasing from you today. This is not the way it started at all. So now let's go to the other issue. And that is, I would love to look at your Akash. I'd love to look at my Akash because there are some angrinesses, if I can put it, and some anxiety even with the Christian church. I can tell you got one. And that's where your question came from. And it wasn't really about washing the feet at all. You were mad at Christianity when you asked this. Please don't take this personally. What I would like to say to you, maybe it's time for that to change. Maybe you can see it and go, oh, you know, you're right, Lee. And now would be a good time to just dismiss that whole thing and get over it. And can I just tell you, this has been one of my issues, and you can even see it because Kryon has brought it up, I brought it up repeatedly, that Christianity has a punishing God, and it has us going to hell and all these things, and how can they do that when God is so magnificent, and we are so magnificent, and so it's always there. So you and I both. But I wanted to give you the truth, and also thank you for the question, and maybe others had to hear it. No debasing allowed.
Oh, beautiful. And it is true. There are many of us who come out of a doctrine that didn't resonate with how we perceived the compassion and love of God. And so you are recovering from that doctrine or that religion. And I love that you started that by saying, do you really think Kryon would want us to go through a debasing exercise? The answer there is no. Kryon would never want us to do that. So I hope that you can really move through that issue, Tanaja. And if you really still struggle, maybe just block out the words and just tune into the energy of what Kryon's presenting.
You've answered that a lot more maturely than I did.
Oh, no,
I'm glad you're here.
I think you did it beautifully.
Yeah.
And if I can also add, I have been part of the foot washing ceremonies that we have done in some of our retreats. And I'm not sure if you're part of the discussion, Lee, because we have volunteers that will, it's a symbolic act where we have people on stage in chairs and the volunteers will come and we very gently wash the feet, but it's more about the eye contact with the person in front of you. And there is some profound healings that happen. And one of the volunteers was struggling because they thought the same thing. This is ridiculous. I'm debasing myself to wash all these people's feet. It's crazy. But when I watched what happened between the volunteer and all the other people, they did the eye lock and there were tears from both sides. So I am sending that wave of energy to you, Tanaja, that I am right here, right now, holding your feet, washing them, honouring you through that connection. So I hope you really, really feel that love.
Let's go to Canada.
Well, okay, yes, next question. Daryl from Canada is saying that going into the Circle of 12, I have had many revelations. But sometimes the biggest revelations I can't remember them a few hours after. However, with work, I'm able to remember them. And Daryl is asking, is this a memory mind failure, or is this an internal spiritual struggle, or is it something else?
Okay, I'm going to tell you what it is, because you are not alone and others have this. I have this. It boils down to this. What it is that you're experiencing is the inability to remember intuitive thought. That is what we're getting, especially when it comes to spiritual insights and things that are given to us. And I would say intuition is not handwriting on the wall. In fact, Kryon has talked about it a lot. It says you better get it fast because it goes away, and that's what's happening. You might say it's like a train that goes, whoosh, and you go, what was that? And you can't really get the whole thing because it comes and goes so quickly. That is a multidimensional thought. Welcome to the club, because I have this very same thing. I'll have insights. I'll even have insights in what Kryon calls the third language while I'm channeling. And there'll be an insight of something that perhaps is next or whatever. Kryon talks to me all the time while we're channeling. And I'll come out of channeling and I have no idea what it was. And I'll go, oh, and with work, I'll remember it. So for me, and my answer for you is that this is very, very common, and keep working at it, because part of our lessons is to try to make intuition a little more clear and hold it there.
Thank you. And I'm really glad Daryl brought up that question, because I also want to encourage that you start journaling. I've had so many times when I've had an experience and I've journaled it down, and 2 weeks later, there is no way I would have remembered the profound details that came through as I pick up the journal and read, oh my gosh, that's right, this amazing experience happened. So here is the invitation to everybody during the Circle of 12 meditations. Here's perhaps start a journal. Come out of the journal and write your experiences. I love this phrase, a short pencil is better than a long memory. And that is also why I started doing the Healing Wednesday Index. Who can remember that? Gosh, there was an episode where we had the children in the audience, but I don't remember which one. And again, because when you start journaling it and logging it down and creating an index, you use that to help you find what you need to find. Also, just one last point about journaling and writing things down. It actually accesses a different part of your brain, and so you lock in that new experience and that new sensation in a deeper way than just having gone through it and then trying to retain it in your memory. So wonderful questions. Do we have time for another, Lee?
We can do a Hello, everyone. Welcome to Healing Wednesdays and the Circle of 12. I am Lee Carroll.
And I'm Monica Morani.
And we come together with you every single Wednesday of the year, every one of them, even if there's 5. And we come together with special guests. We come together with questions and answers, discussions, with energy, with healing and meditations, and, of course, channeling. I tell that for those who are new. Now, those of us who've been sitting here, which would be you and I, and occasionally another person, we will have together, I would say, experiences that we're used to. But if you're new, you probably don't know what goes on here. And if you're new, you may not also know of some really cool things. At least I think they're cool. And they happen in your portal. When you go to your membership portal, the first thing you might see is another language. If you're a Spanish speaker, this show is also brought to you in Spanish. It's also brought to you with the live chat, just like the one you're seeing. And it starts 1/2 an hour after this one does. Replays, you can get those anytime. You realize how many replays we have now? Now, if you've been with us again for a long time, you already know that. If you're just joining us, you might say, you mean we got a year's worth of replays? Yep, we do. And you might say, well, how do I know which replay to look for? I mean, where do I start? Well, you could be linear and start at the beginning. However, there's also an index. Monica put together this index where you can see whatever has been done, the questions and answers, the healing of 12, what happened, the channeling subjects, all together so you can kind of peruse it and see which program you'd like to see. We've been doing it a year, and we've also just decided we're doing it a whole nother year. Actually, we didn't just decide. We've seen the result of it, and we said, this is good. We have different speakers lined up all the time, and believe me, we got some great stuff coming up. We're going to go for a whole nother year, just to let you know. Finally, there's also an audio there on your portal of every single show. And that's just in case you want to listen to it instead of watch it, but especially for those people in parts of the world where it's really difficult to see a video. And so we put audios there for you. Well, that's my story. I'm sticking to it. But there's one more thing that I always tell you about, and that is this, especially for the newbies. If the streaming is difficult, we see transcriptions of your chat and we see the same things over and over. You can't get the audio to work, or you're looking for this or that, or it's starting and stopping. If you figure out that this is your internet and it's just not up to speed for what we want this day, stop. Don't be frustrated. Come and see us. An hour after the show is when the replays start. It's in your portal, and you can see them. The replays are much easier on the internet than the live stream that you're watching today. So that's what I always say. And then we go to the other subject, and that is Q&A. Monica?
Indeed. You can submit your questions to us in the portal. There is an icon button there. It says submit your questions. And if that wasn't easy enough, you can also go to cryonmasters.com/questions. And we have some guidelines for submitting those questions. We do ask that you think about the question and how others may benefit from you asking that question. And we say no personal questions. What we're really talking about is the deep personal questions you have about why isn't my husband doing this, and those kinds of personal questions. And then we ask that you make those questions concise and short. And if you're giving us a big long premise about something that happened, make sure there's a question at the end of it. So it's as simple as that. And we are now going to our first question, which is from Tanaja. Tanaja's from Melbourne, Australia. And Tanaja's saying that the washing of feet, which is what Kryon takes us through in the Circle of 12, if that's your first time here. So the washing of feet, says Tanaja, it's a Christian doctrine from the Bible. It's very old thinking, very hierarchical, old religion. Can Kryon please use a different metaphor to explain my worthiness other than just the theatre audience debasing themselves for me? Perhaps just a hug from an equally magnificent being. So this is Tanaja's plea to Kryon. Change the metaphor.
Tanaja, why don't you tell us what you really think? Tanaja, I hope that you don't take offense to anything I'm going to say of help for all of you that comes, are you ready? From your own soul. When you have spiritual history, you can examine some of the attributes of those who have seen angels. Almost all of the encounters that have been written with angels are personal. That is to say, an angel did not call a meeting. So you don't normally have a lot of people watching an angel present. There is often personal experiences, but very seldom group experiences with angels. Because, dear ones, almost always an angel appears to an individual. And that particular angel can look any way that individual might imagine an angel should look. Sometimes what you would call angels appear completely and totally different because they have to. What if I told you that an angel, and they exist from your soul, what if I told you an angel actually has no shape at all? That it's a multidimensional energy that is so potently there in front of you that the subconscious mind creates a vehicle to imagine it. What I mean by that, do you really think that an angel from the creative source, that is the heavens, even before earth or humanity was made, the heavens were there and the angels would appear then as a woman in a nice outfit with a halo? You'd say, well, perhaps not. But that is the way so often they're depicted. Almost always in white, of course. Everything means something else. Your subconscious wants to see mother. That is another profound proof, as we have said, of the divine feminine in all of you that wants to see mother when it comes to angelic principles. And that particular female, always beautiful, always profound, with wisdom, perhaps with a halo, which means something else. It means spirituality. Did you ever think of that? I told this once, and I mention it again. My partner was sitting on the top of a mountain called Mount Sinai. He had just climbed the mountain in the dark from midnight, and he was tired. And the message I gave him, of course, was about Moses. Talked about Moses' unwillingness, really, to have the mantle that he was given. But he did it anyway. And he did it because he saw the profundity of all that he was called to do, even though he didn't feel worthy of it. He was there and gave his best. And history will show it was good enough. That was the place, supposedly, where he saw the burning bush. And we've told you before that the burning bush was not a bush at all. Supposedly, the description was a bush that did not consume itself with the flame that he saw. That was an angel. But in his day, in this time, that's all that he saw, because that is the picture of what it meant to him. It needed to be something that got his attention, even more than a woman, perhaps, in a nice outfit with a halo. A bush that stood in front of him, and a voice came out of it. And the voice that he didn't tell you was feminine. That's an angel. Guides are the same, but let's stop and talk about what is going on there. Dear ones, there had to be a system of communication that was spiritual when you needed it, for even those who didn't even believe there could be a God. There had to be a system, because there are some individuals on this planet, especially those walking in a darker time, a time where nothing was acknowledged as simple as a monotheistic God. There had to be a system where the soul could speak to you of greater things. And sometimes those things were frightening, very frightening. Imagine having an energy come to you and speak, an energy that spoke, and your subconscious immediately had to create a human so that it made sense that there was speech. Every angel who has come and been reported has said several words. Did you think about it? Fear not. That means don't be afraid of this. Why would anybody be afraid of a lovely woman with a halo? And the answer is because it was more than that. It was a tremendous energy sitting in front of you with a majestic voice, a female voice that got your attention, that said profound things that were recorded in history and became your scripture. There had to be a mechanism for that to happen that comes from your soul. Your soul is a piece of God. Your soul, we've told you, is immense. Your soul has so much in it that you're unaware of. The circle of 12 is a bridge that crosses to part of your soul and invites you to feel the immensity of it. The ancestors are there. Your Akash is there. The angels are there. God is there. And so this is part of the system of everything that is you. Angels come from your soul. And they come for you. And they talk to you. Because it is from your own spiritual essence. Angels and guides often are used in the same phrase. Let's talk about guides. A little different than angels, aren't they? Now, an angel is seen as a profound experience. If you have an angel come to you, you're very quiet, you look at it, you either report it or you don't, because some people will not believe you. Those who have in history, it's always a profound experience and they have something to say. Now that is special, almost like a vision. Guides, however, are described as those entities that belong specifically to you that work with you every day. And they're not necessarily talking to you as much as they are pushing and pulling you through what we will call guided intuition to the right place to be. We have taught this for a very long time, dear ones, that your intent and your affirmations are then enhanced by your guides to help push and pull you into the right place at the right time for synchronicity, for healing in your life, for the right partner, for the right business. And that is how people see guides. Question, what do they look like? And the answer is yes. Any way you want them to look. Because indeed, they are not human. However, they are guides, and so you picture them as guides. And it's interesting how you would picture them. You'd ask one culture, well, tell me about your guides, and they'll say, oh, they're huge. They come in and they're 7 feet tall. And you talk to another culture, you say, well, they're actually about this high. And they come and they scurry around me. That tells you a lot about humanism. They are as you wish to see them. How many are there? Well, many people are saying, well, there's got to be 3. I always see 3. And we have told you this before, dear ones. There are no numbers of guides. All of that is symbology. The 3 is a catalyst for change. They exist to steer you into change. So you see them as the energy of the number 3, and you say there are 3 guides. Do you see where I'm going with this? Oh, there is so much there that you hadn't imagined. Where do the guides come from? They come from your soul. Your soul has the ability, because it stands apart from you on the other side of the veil and perhaps is not integrated yet with you, to start pushing and pulling and helping through intuition, guides, and angels, all from your soul. I want you to stop for a moment as we finish this channel. Think of the beauty and the love of the system. God would love you so much that even if you said, I don't believe in God and nobody can convince me, that there's still a mechanism to help you. Without saying, well, you have to believe it, there's still intuition that would move you here and move you there because of the love that is there. That is the teaching, and always will be, of the magnificence of the human being. You deserve to be here. You deserve to be loved this much. I'm crying in love with humanity. And so it is.
very gently, very softly, we're going to move from this beautiful space into a greater awareness now, an awareness of your body. If you've had your eyes closed, you're invited to open your eyes, bring your awareness back into the room. You may wish to connect a little more to the energy of the earth, have ourselves grounded, and we're going to move into the next part of our program. And Lee and I are both excited because we are having a guest coming back for the second time, and our guest is Peter Shank. And let's just make sure, Peter, are you there?
I am.
Wonderful.
And don't say your stomach. Concentrate on your body where the energy is moving. And again, this is another simple form to help heal the body. You now have that energy in your body and you can direct it to different places. And it's like the software, okay? Aquaware. Aquaware today has over 1,000 intentions. It has the ability of the user to project those intentions in the water anywhere in existence, as long as you just put your attention on there. Where you set your attention, the intention will follow. It only takes 8.1 seconds to program a glass of water with something like high energy, right? Who needs coffee anymore?
Well, I want to program the coffee now because
No, you're not supposed to say that. Who needs coffee? He just said
the,
who needs coffee.
The bad word.
Yeah, that's right. That's true. For anyone listening, we've got like a few minutes left, not many, to wrap it up. But anybody, I can just hear some people say, I don't understand any of this technical stuff. And I want to say, you don't have to. That's what Peter has done. The point is, with a childlike approach to all of this, it works. And again, the metaphor that Kryon has given so often, you get in a very, very complicated car, you don't have to understand how it works, make it go. It's very childlike, and this is what he is teaching and showing. So, Peter, where are we going to have, show us where we can see more of this.
So, the nexus of everything I do today is on moderndaymystic.com. If you want to contact me, you can use the contact form on the moderndaymystic.com website, or you can call the 800 number that's on there. I stay very close to my customer base. I don't have an answering service. I'm the only person that picks up that phone. So if you want to talk to me and I have time and I pick it up, let's talk. I love answering questions. I love helping people.
Well, that is so wonderful. I can't wait to play with more of those products. And I know I'm going to do a blasphemous thing here, but I'm going to honor the space in which my coffee exists.
We're not going to change it. It's going to be coffee. I know.
I know. The magic is in the water. And the water's programmable.
You do, for folks, Aquaware, are you getting this? Emoto, the crystallization of water, the idea that thought alone can change the energy of water, and he just did it and he showed it. It's all related, and everything he's doing is based on that.
Yeah.
You know, Lee, programming water has been around for thousands of years.
Yeah.
And people constantly come to me and say, well, why do I need software to program water? And I'm like, you don't. I was like, what would you like to program it with? They're like, I'd like to program it with love. Okay, well, how long can you hold your attention on that glass of water? Well, 30 seconds. Well, in 8.1 seconds, the software will amplify that intention a millionfold, and there you have it.
That's what the software's for.
Absolutely. Oh. So I think really the secret, getting back to the coffee, is to program the water and then make the coffee.
That's it. You're going to get letters. I know you're going to get letters here. Thank you, Peter. This has been wonderful again. And I'm sorry to limit the amount of time we have for such a profound study, because I know that you speak to people and you do these things and it lasts an hour or more, because there's a lot more to talk about. So, folks, you know exactly where to go now to see more. Any last words for us, sir?
You know, Mark Twain once said in a book, explore, dream, discover. Okay? Think about that. Explore, dream, discover. If you're stuck in fear, just remember, it's an illusion. Explore, dream, and discover. That will help you unlimit your thinking, thereby unlimiting your potential. And when you have the ability to unlimit your potential, the world becomes magic again.
Wonderful. That was magical. So we are now going to take a 10-minute break. I encourage you to go and check out moderndaymystic.com. And we'll see you again in 10 minutes for the Circle of 12.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back. I'm still Lee Carroll.
And I'm still Monica Morani, believe it or not.
Well, that was the second time we had Peter on.
Yeah.
And, there are still people who are going to say, well, I'm lost in the technical of it all. And I would say, forget the technical because it works.
Yes.
So he's not here to explain the technical and the software. He's here to show you something that actually has worked, that he's figured out. And it's in a quantum energy. So I really appreciate it.
And just imagine what he's going to do in the next 6 months or the next year. That's amazing, isn't it? From our last chat with him and this time. And can you feel it? I wonder if everyone can feel how we are collectively having so many things given to us.
Yep. Yeah. And again, to say that if this particular show, say, well, I don't resonate as much of it, or I resonate really with it, there will be so many different kinds of things that in the past and coming up that we're hitting so many, I would say, points that will resonate with lots of folks. And
absolutely. So let's now move into the Circle of 12 experience. And as we move to that Circle of 12, I invite you to release all expectations. Some of you have done many Circle of 12 experiences, and some of you, this may be your very first time, regardless of how many times you have done the Circle of 12. Be open to a new experience, a new wonder, a new journey. And many of you will get visualizations. Some of you will not get any. Whatever it is for you is okay. Just allow it to happen. Allow the process to unfold. And in that allowance, the best way we can allow an experience to happen is to really come into a relaxed space. Relaxing your body, letting all tension drain away. Soften your face, soften your body, feel yourself being supported, whether you're sitting or lying. And we invite you to close your beautiful eyes so that you can further bring your attention inward, into that core energy that is inside you. Your natural state of being is peaceful, and there is nothing to do. It is simply allowing yourself to be in this moment, very relaxed. And in this place of deep relaxation, we welcome the opportunity to come a little closer to Kryon.
Greetings, dear ones. I am Kryon. Indeed, come a little closer. Come a little closer to that which we have described is the bigger you, the soul. Although we have not described all of the attributes of the soul to you, I think by now you understand what we're saying. That there is something called the soul that is far, far larger even than your consciousness, that actually belongs to you and only to you. It's hard for humanity in general to think of something outside what they see or feel that could also be them. And so that includes all of you watching, feeling, expecting. And so the journey that we would take, even this time, again, would beyond what you expect, is beyond what you think is actually there. So interesting, is it not, that even as you perhaps watched the speaker, the guest, the teacher, the healer of today, that he comes from science. He comes basically from the pure science of the planet, where he was very successful. And he didn't stop his science. Instead, it became part of that spiritual awakening that he had. A part of an idea: how can I take the science that I have learned and then relate it to that which I am learning about myself, about the cosmos, about spirituality, and create a tool that would help many? But it's still science. You're going to see this more and more. There will be those who are going to start to create a virtual healing world. We have told you this before. Because the subconscious does not know the difference between what is actually happening or what the imagination is showing it. A virtual healing world would be one where you go to a place and you experience that which is healing around you. And it's not actually happening, but your imagination sees it on a screen perhaps and believes it's happening to you. That's science. In other words, the use perhaps of computers and software and that which is the design of humans around you in order to bring you to a place where you heal. These things are starting to cooperate with each other. Dear ones, there will not be a time when we tell you that the artificial intelligence is going to then supplant you or then go beyond you. What that is all about, dear ones, and the invention of it properly, is to enhance you and your consciousness, to marry to you and your consciousness. But isn't it something, if you've noticed, that there's more and more scientists who are starting to use the science in order to figure out that which heretofore was only in the spiritual realm. That is part of that awakening that the planet is having. Multidimensionality is now something being studied and being exposed in a way never before. It is still in the realm of, I would say, the physicist's workbench. So you are not necessarily involved in those discoveries and those ahas, or the development of entanglement, as we've discussed, or any of these things. But every single time a scientist makes a discovery around multidimensionality, it brings them closer to understanding the potential of all the spiritual things that we have been telling you for years and years and years. They're broaching an idea. And I'll tell you now, for you will see it someday. An idea is this: can your consciousness actually change the physics around you? And we say, this is an interesting question because scientists are now asking what some have been doing on the planet for hundreds of years. And those who have been doing it on the planet, they sequester themselves and nobody reports it because it's too strange or too unusual. And some have even called it magic. And all it is the consciousness of a human being creating a reality and molding it to themselves in a way that helps heal their body. How many years have we told you to talk to yourselves? Talk to your cells of your body. And there are those who say, well, that's really a sweet idea, and that'll probably make us feel better. No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying you are talking to yourself